Hey guys, today is Friday, April 14th, 2017, about 2 in the afternoon. My name is Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and I'm coming to you from bright and sunny Cape Coral, Florida. Not too much going on since we last spoke, so it should be a quick and short one today. I have finished a few things. Those dreaded socks that I've been knitting on for I think what feels like months and months and months are now finished. I have wood. I will be inserting pictures so you get a close-up of everything I show you today. These are, let me see, this is about what I had left of the yarn. These are knit on size 1 chow goose. I knit them concurrently, one needle for this one needle from this one. I knit about 10-20 rows on one and then 10-20 rows on another. I use the Bankhead hat pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Basically you're just doing, I think it's like knit 4, purl 1. It gives it just a little bit of a rib. I did, what did I do? I did 56 stitches on this, but I just a little bit tight. I think next time I'll go up to 60 and see how that does. I like the fabric that you get with the number 1 needles, the size 1s, but I don't, just a little bit too tight, you know. They do loosen up as you're wearing them, and that's a consideration when you do hand knit socks, is to make them a little bit tighter so that as they loosen up, they're not too loose. I think one looks longer than the other. No, they're just not stretched out. When I was trying them on, I think I kept trying on the same sock over and over, so it would stretch that sock out and not the other. But these are finally done, and no, I did not put another pair on the needles. I really do not feel like making regular socks right now. I might start knitting some baby size socks for babies or for like an advent calendar, so when Christmas time comes you can have all different colored ones. I love advent calendars, but I don't really think, after dragging us on that one for so long, I don't want to cast on another one. But what I did cast on is, check my notes, the Treasured Heirloom Baby Blanket from Lion Brand. It's a free pattern and it is number 90485. It's listed on Ravelry, but it's actually on the Lion Brand site. You have to sign up to be a member to go onto that site to get free patterns, but it's free. They just want to get your email just like everyone else. I am using the Karen Cakes. This is in the color Cookies and Cream. It's grays with a little bit of a cream and tan colored in it. This is the second one. I've already gone through one, obviously, if it's the second. I am knitting it on size 8 chow goose. And this is what it looks like so far. I am past the halfway point. Here's the halfway point here. You start, it's a rectangular baby blanket, and it's going to sound weird, but you knit it as a triangle one way, and then you decrease it to the triangle the other. Anyone who's knit a shawl or a blanket, you're kind of used to it, but one of the problems I did have, some people, it really makes them mad, and I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. We know that they have knots, and right here, you see this thin stripe right here, this light gray? It had switched from the dark gray into the light like it's supposed to transition, but then there was a knot. And when you went to the other side of the knot, it rejoined back up with the dark, and it went in the opposite direction. So while it was supposed to go, let me see, it would go from the dark to the light to the creamy beige to a white. Instead, it went to the dark, to the light gray, right back to the dark, to the white, the creamy beige, and it's going in the opposite direction. But because of the way it stripes anyways, I think it's kind of fun. It looks good. It's got some lace work in it. And this yarn has some wool in it. It's part acrylic, part wool. Let's see what we have. We have it is 80-20. So with the 20% wool, it'll allow it to block out just a little bit and open up these holes just a bit. You don't need it to open up too much because it is for a baby, and you don't want a little baby to have too much opportunity to put their fingers in them. So it's going to be more, especially with the size, I think it's more for a toddler to wrap up in a car seat or in a stroller. This is very soft wool. Well, it's very soft yarn. Very little wool. It doesn't have any smell to it. It's very soft on the skin. So I think that'll be really nice. I have no plans on giving this to anyone. It'll probably end up going in the shop. And yeah, this is the second time I've made this pattern. I really like it. It's a fun knit. When you get going and you're increasing every row and you're getting, oh my goodness, am I ever gonna finish? And then eventually you get to that halfway point, and once you start decreasing, then you feel really good about how fast it's going and that you're going to be at the end soon. You can see the finish line. Alright, the other thing, whoops, oops, totally out of shot there. The other thing, the Miter Square Break blanket, the Cozy Memories blanket. I think this is my third or fourth version. I'm never really quite happy with what I do. The one I was doing, the one that Kay Jones was showing us, you have to count constantly. You're counting 19 stitches, do a decrease, knit a row. 18 stitches, do your decrease, knit a row. And it's just, you lose track and you spend all that extra time counting, and it just got infuriating. So this one is the Knitted Patchwork Recipe by Martine Ellis. It's on Ravelry. It's a free pattern. And so I decided to just start a new one. I am on my 5th square. I just started it yesterday. So already it's going pretty good. And what the good point about this one is you put a little stitch marker in the middle. And you do, you knit 2 together before the stitch marker and knit 2 together through the back loop after the stitch marker. So there's no counting. This is going to take over my washcloth project, I think, where while I'm cooking dinner and doing other things and waiting to get my son from school or to take him to work or whatever, I'm going to use this as my take-along project and my 5-minute project. So when I just have, like I said, a couple minutes to do something, I can just go ahead and knit on this a little, and hopefully I will be able to get this done in less than 5 years. Because you need to put like 500, 600, 800 squares in these blankets to have them done. Now what I have been doing is I got my sewing machine back from the shop. It took the full 2 weeks. I mean, it's a good thing he only told me it was going to be a week. But she's back. She doesn't squeak anymore. She's all oiled up. So I've been having fun playing with her instead of doing too much. I did, since I started the baby blanket since we last talked, I had spent a lot of time on that. But most of my time has been spent sewing. As I've been going through the projects that I have tucked away in all the different whips, I've just been pulling things out and doing some quick finishes. So as I was digging through the different scrap bins of fabric to see what I have stored up, I came across a few projects. I was playing around and making mug rugs. And what you do is with a mug rug, you put your mug of coffee or your tea or your drink here, and you put a couple little snacks here, set it on your desk, and it's just a bright way to brighten things up when you're having your tea or your coffee. I'd taken, at one point it was really popular to take just a whole bunch of leftover strips of fabric and do a quilt as you go. So this is a little scrappy Christmas one. And I always loved the EPP, English paper piecing with hexagons. This one has, it's like a jeweled, but it kind of reminds me of snowflakes, so it's a winter one. With some blue fabric on the back. It's like a, it's almost like a batik in the center, so there's that one. And then there was, I'm working on, looks like maybe a quilt. I had leftover pieces, so I went ahead and I turned these into coasters. I love blue fabric. Blue is just, it just brightens everything up. And then they all have the same fabric on the back. And these are real simple. It's just I took the leftover rail fence square. I have a piece of batting in it and a piece of fabric. You just sew it together, flip it all around, and then stitch around it. It's a real simple one. I might make a little tutorial for them to show you how easy it is. So I have these four nice fun blue colors. I have a desk over here. I'm just throwing everything on. Then also, I do the cooking in the family, and with the nerve damage in the neck, I tend to lose control of my hand a lot and I drop things. So whenever I'm taking things out of the oven, I'm always dropping the pot holder. And of course, Murphy's Law means it is going to land on an element and catch on fire. So my poor pot holders, we go through a lot of them, and we don't really like the ones from the store because they're always so thin and you can really feel the heat through your hand and burn it. So I'd started making these a while ago, probably a couple years now, and they were all done except just being flipped around and sewn around the edges. Once again, I get really close to finishing something and then I decide, ooh, let's just start something new. I never really finish anything. So these are cotton fabric on the front and the back, and the inside there's a piece of cotton batting and that heat resistant batting that they sell at Joann's. But it still felt a little thin, so I took a piece of denim. This is denim by the yard I had, but you can use old jean material, and I put that in there too. No binding, just flip around and stitch. This one's Monsters, a little Star Wars. What's this one got? This one's got the crossbones, the plaid, and Dr. McCoy and Spock from the old Star Trek. Black fabric on the back. I just went and stole these out of the kitchen. We like to have a lot because when we have food that's still warm after dinner and we're ready to put it in the fridge because we don't like to leave it sitting out on the counter for very long, we have glass shelves in the fridge, and I always worry that the hot food in the glass shelf will cause it to shatter. So we put one of these under the dinner, and it insulates the glass from the heat. So now we have 5 new pot holders. I threw away all the old ones, and these should last a couple months at least, right? And the other thing I finished from the whip pile, this one is from the quilt along that I told you I do, where we do 1 or 2 projects every month from a whip. This one is a child's car play mat from the Patchwork Posse. I tested this pattern in one of her groups, probably 6-7 years ago. Little John Deere fabric for the binding. Little race spot for the cars and a tree. I just went ahead and I took the black thread, and with my regular sewing foot and a regular stitch, I just stitched around. Let's see what we got. Just took the black thread, just stitched around the applique to hold it down. You can see it from the back too. I thought this is nice for just like when you're taking a kid to a friend's house and you just want to have something in a diaper bag for them to play with, or maybe going out to a restaurant, something to keep the kids busy. Then I worked, if you remember behind me, which now you have something new to look at, Behind me there was the red, white, and blue table runner for my children. It's not finished, but it's getting closer. Here's the front that you've looked at all the time. These are red, white, and blue. They look like they're all various sizes, various widths. Red, white, and blue scraps that were sewn to a fabric foundation. Excuse me. They were red, white, and blue scrap fabric that was sewn down to a fabric foundation. Normally I do it on paper and I peel it off, but this was for a swap and these were extras and you had to use fabric. So I have an old sheet in there, and because of that, it gives us this certain, it's not stiff, but it feels more like an outdoor fabric. So I didn't do any batting inside it. And I made a back, scrappy, reds and blues, no whites. So my kids can either have it on this side if they want, which is the back, but you can use it for the front, or this side. So when eventually they could possibly stain the front, switch it over. You get a lot longer life out of it and you don't have to wash it as often. I still need to go ahead and do the edge stitching all around to hold it together, and I might just sew a line down the center for quilting just to keep it from shifting when you wash it, and it'll be all set for their house. And the last project I worked on was, this was the project, the whip number pulled for the month. I don't remember what number it was and it doesn't really matter, but this is the USA Scrappy Map. It was already all ironed down and it just needed to be sewn, so I went ahead and I just did a free motion stitch all around the states with red, because I thought the red might blend in a little bit better than the black. For a first try, this is pretty good. I think next time it's a little bit wavy and wobbly. The pieces were hard to fit together. I don't think they were cut as exact, or the way I cut them out or something, I don't know. Next time I think I will stitch around it like I did with the play mat with just a regular sewing foot. A lot of the stick had come off of this and it was coming unironed, and I don't know. This one's going to be fine. This one's going to be for me probably, unless someone asks for it. I don't always have plans to put things in the shop, but if someone wants it, then I have no problem either giving it to them or selling it to them. But you can see the outline from the back. I just went around it real free motion a couple times. I don't think I want, a lot of times when people make these, they make a rectangle and they hang it up on the wall like this. I think I want to follow the contour of the actual shape of the United States, except for I have to give a little leeway for the Alaska and Hawaii, and then make it a wall hanging that way, so it's more of an art thing than just the straight old rectangle. That's about it this week. I did a bit of crafting here and there every day, a lot of sewing, a lot of working on that. Once I got going on that knitted baby blanket, I just felt like I wanted to work on that all the time, so spent a lot of time watching YouTube and watching TV shows and catching up on stuff, knitting on that, and that's almost done. And like I said, I think I'm going to switch and have my main project be the miter square blanket, just to get that to a good size, so I feel like I'm accomplishing something before it gets too hot. Summertime's coming. It's going to get hot real quick here in Florida. This metal thing you see here in the corner, that is when you go to, my kids got that from Bob Evans probably 10 years ago, I think. When you go to a restaurant, you could put a baby carrier next to it, and because your kid's not big enough to go in a high chair, you put them in that and it'll hold the baby carrier, but that mesh got all ripped, so it's not safe. So instead of buying a new insert, they threw it away and bought a whole new unit. And I don't know how much they cost, but you know they've got to cost at least $30, if not more. So my kids brought it home to me, and I'm going to make a fabric hammock in it for the cats to lay down. It'll fit perfectly in this space right here between this desk and this wall, and the cats can sleep in it, because you know cats, they love to sleep in hammock things. And so when I do that, once again, I'll take you guys along so you can learn how to I think I'm going to piece jeans together to make a nice sturdy hammock in there for them so they don't claw through it and stuff. So you guys can see how to do that too. I picked up you're sitting on a tripod now instead of being a big tripod. And there's my hand. A big tripod instead of just a little one. So I can film overhead and I can start doing tutorials. So keep an eye out on this channel. When you see the pink flamingo, you'll know, as a thumbnail, you'll know it's a podcast. But right now I have, I think it's 2 Adirondack beach chairs on the beach, and that'll show you that there's a tutorial coming up. So go ahead and subscribe, like, and ring the little bell so anytime a new video comes up, you'll know it's there. The podcast will be on the 1st and the 15th, and the tutorials will be popping up at random. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll be the first to see when they're coming up, because I'll let you know that they'll be posting soon. Otherwise, YouTube can send you a notification. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.